All right, good morning. Happy New Year. Anybody excited for 2020? A couple people. How about the rest of you? What's not exciting about 2020? No, actually, I guess I see some excitement for a Monday morning. Not too bad. So last Monday we talked about looking back, to take time to think back over the year and understand what you loved about it and want to do more of, and what you didn't like and want to do less of. And then, probably out of that comes some ideas of what you want to do this year as you look forward. But if you guys are like me, you can have all these grand ideas about what you want to do in a year, but when it comes down to it, to actually do it is pretty tough. For some reason, it's hard. Hey, that thing was supposed to move. There we go. Knowing where we want to go is the first part of getting there. The other 99% is what keeps us from actually getting there. Feel me on that one? It's like, oh yeah, I'm going to do this year. I'm going to make that happen. And it's a great idea because that's the first step. But when it actually comes down to it, the other 99% of what it takes to get somewhere is what keeps us from getting there. So I'm going to just talk a little bit about it and kind of relate it to traveling somewhere. So as we look forward, there's a couple things we got to do. We got to find the waypoint. And I say waypoint because it's never a destination. You never arrive somewhere and now you can sit back and relax. It's always about going from one place to the next. You're always traveling from one place to the next. So one place we want to go next, map your route, break it down and keep it simple. Get back on track, overcome delays and wrong turns because you're always going to mess up somewhere and have to get back on track. Refuel as needed, go back to your why often. Enjoy the trip, got to make it fun, and then party on arrival and celebrate success. So let's just get right started here. Find the waypoint, the one place we want to go next. As we look ahead, if we're not sure where we're going, you can go anywhere. And if you don't have a clear thing that you're trying to do, you're going to go somewhere, but where is it that you're going to end up? Who knows? You can end up in the desert of distress, the back alley of danger. Wonderful places to be. But if you don't have a destination, how do you know where you're going to get, when you arrive? So I think as we look forward, we need to figure out what it is that we want to do. So if you look into this year, where is it that you'd like to be at the end of this year? Where do you want to be? Then the other thing is, how far is it? How hard is it to get there? If I want to try to pay off my entire property in 1 year, I want to pay off my house. I'm done with paying a mortgage. I'm paying it off by the end of the year. Would that be possible? How far is it? Can you get there in 1 year? Is it actually feasible? Sometimes we set these really high and lofty goals, but we don't actually stop and think about how much it's going to cost us to do it. So how far is it? And then is it worth the trip? Is it worth all that time? Is it worth all that energy and effort to get to that place? If it is, then go for it. But the bigger your goal, the harder it is, and you got to realize how much that's going to take out of you. It can be easy just to kind of get this pie in the sky. So make it something that's attainable. Then map your route, break it down, and keep it simple. One thing that keeps us from realizing the goals that we have or the places we want to go to is that we try to bite off too much. We try to make it all in one big leap. That's why I say break it down and keep it simple. How do we get there? How do you do this? A couple of years ago, Sarah and I decided that we wanted to exercise a little more. And we were trying to figure out how can we do it? What's the one thing we can do almost every single day? And it was going for a walk. We were trying to get 10,000 steps in every day. This year I got an average of, I think it was like 96 or 9,800 steps per day if you averaged out every single day. So I didn't quite meet my goal this year, but I was close. But what is it that you can break it down and say, this is what I'm going to do that's going to get me towards that end goal? Does that make sense? If you look at it in the future and it's something big and far out there, but you don't know what you're doing today, you probably are not going to make any progress getting there. So break it down, keep it simple. How do we get there? What's the best way to go? Again, if you have a big goal and you're trying to get there really fast, it can be dangerous. You can get really tired out and give up on it because it's like, I'm exhausted. I can't run 10 miles every day starting at 4 o'clock in the morning. It's just impossible. You know what I'm saying? Yes, if I ran 10 miles every single day, I would be so thin you guys would hardly see me up here. Right now, that's not a problem. Sarah and I, when we went to the New England states on the motorcycle, the shortest route was through the top side of New York City. The shortest route, the quickest, shortest. We're all into the quickest and the shortest because we had a flat tire that delayed us, and we had like, I forget how many road hours, like 8 or 10. We're coming through New York City, and I'm telling you, was it white cars? Every single white car, and there's a ton of white cars on the road, were out to try to kill us. I'm serious. Coming through New York City, I was like, if we make it through here alive, it's going to be incredible. And we did. But it was the shortest and quickest route, but maybe not the best route. On the way home, instead of coming through New York City, we went a little bit of a more scenic route, a little longer route, but it was way safer, and we kept our sanity without feeling like we were trying to die. So kind of that example of what are you wanting to do, where are you wanting to go, what's the best way to get there so when you get there you're not exhausted. Does that make sense? So as you think about reaching a goal, make it something that is sustainable, that you're not exhausted because, man, you almost lost your life getting there, now you're having to pay for it. Get back on track, overcome delays and wrong turns. How many of you guys have decided to do a certain habit and you've done it for a little while and then you get sidetracked and you just forget about it? I have been there so many times. And you know what? As I look back and as I have been reading and listening to Atomic Habits, it often happens when we skip the walk. If Sarah and I are trying to walk and we skip the walk one day, then the next day it's an optional thing. Are we going to go walking today? You know how that happens? Just like that. Before it was like, oh yeah, when are we going to go walking? Does it work? Should we go now or should we go after dinner? But the next day it's like, what do you think? Shall we go walking? And now it's optional. And Atomic Habits talks about never skip twice. Unless you're sick, dying, there's a fire, never skip twice. If you never skip twice, the success rate of your habit goes way up. The other thing is, we tend to think that if we can't do the whole thing perfectly, if we can't get it perfect and do it right, get 30 minutes of my workout in when it's supposed to be a 30-minute workout, if I only have time for 15 minutes, then I'm not going to work out at all. Does that make sense? So if I can't clean up the garage from top to bottom, I'm not going to bother cleaning up. If I can't clean up my room and make it look nice, I'm not even going to bother picking up the clothes that I put right beside the hamper last night. Does that make sense? Like, if we can't do it the whole way, we just don't do it, which costs us progress. So he would say it's very important that even if you can only work out for 1 minute, do it. Do 10 push-ups instead of skipping the workout. So whatever it takes for you to stay on track, get back, overcome the delays and the wrong turns where you gave yourself the option, all of a sudden walking is optional, get back to it, even if it's just a quick little walk. And I'm going to say, I'm not very good at this. So this is why I'm talking about it, just because it's one of those things that I think we all can use, and me especially. So where did I make that wrong turn? Oh yeah, about 2 weeks ago, I got a little sick, I stopped running, and now running is optional. How am I going to get back to running? Okay, let's do it. I'm going to go for a mile. Refuel is needed. Go back to your why often. So if you don't go back and remember why you wanted to do something, you run out of energy. You run out of gas. I've been there way too many times. I was heading to Indiana with the old Chevy, loaded up with chain link, doing the kinder care job, and there's a spot on the turnpike or somewhere out there where there's like a fueling station and you don't know, but it's like the last one for a long time. And I go past that fueling station and I'm running out of fuel. The old Chevy was going about 50 miles per hour to try to make it to the next fuel station. It's not fun when you run out of fuel. because now you're stranded, you're left high and dry. And I think in habits, the fueling stations are why. We get back to that. And every now and then we need people around us to help us remember why we're doing what we're doing. Sarah can say to me, hey, when are you going to go running today? And it's like, oh yes, oh man, I forgot. But she helps me remember that I need to. And I go back to the why, and I know I'm going to see my doctor soon, and she's going to say, oh good, your weight is right. I like where it's at. Your cholesterol's good. Or I'm going to go back to my doctor, she's going to say, your cholesterol's not looking so good. What are you going to do about it? And that why, going back to that, helps me stay motivated. So do you have, when we're thinking about where we want to go, do we have enough of motivation to get us there? Can you put people around you to help you stay motivated? Here's the part that I'm a little hard at, or I'm not very good at, but enjoy the trip, make it fun. So if you can do something that you enjoy, guess what? You're going to do it more often. And you're going to have fun doing it, which is going to make you better at what you're doing. So enjoy the process of learning and growing. Am I enjoying the views, taking in the scenery? Am I enjoying the company and the people I'm traveling with? Like, am I really taking in life right now, or is it all about where I want to be? I tend to get there. I'm always looking at this certain point in the future, but I'm not enjoying the process and the daily process of getting there. And for me, I'm trying to like running. It's a little hard for me to love running. I'm not really built for running, but I try to like running. And I have to focus on what I enjoy about it. And you know what I enjoy about it? I love getting out and just being quiet. I don't like to listen to music or anything when I run. I just like to be quiet. I like that. It like brings sanity back into my life. So when I'm thinking about running, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to enjoy that part. I'm going to enjoy getting out in the fresh air and just being quiet. Nobody's talking to me. Nobody's telling me what to do. Nobody's asking me for anything. I'm just out here by myself, and I feel like energized by that. So if you can enjoy it and make it fun, then you'll do it more often. Is the pace wearing us out? One thing about running, and I keep talking about running, but if you run too fast, you won't go very far. So just remember, in anything that you're trying to get to, if you're trying to do too much of it at one time, you'll wear yourself out and you won't be able to finish. So think about the pace. Atomic Habits talks again about keeping it simple and easy to do to start off. Because if you do that and you build yourself up, then you gain confidence and you can do more. It's like momentum. You gain momentum and then you can do more. So whatever it is that you're wanting to get to, let's say you're trying to pay down some credit card debt, even if it's just like, I'm going to start with $5 every week. Keep it simple, keep it something that you can do, and as you do that, then make it harder. Add more. Add more to that habit as you go along. And then the other thing is, party on arrival. If you put all the hard work into it, make sure you celebrate it. Because when you celebrate it, you get to experience all the fun emotions of what you just put in, all the hard work. You get to experience it, and it makes it worth that. And then the other thing is, take a moment before you just look at the next, where are we going next? Take a moment just to stop and enjoy where you are. Oh yeah, I feel better this year. Yeah, I didn't run as much as I wanted to, or I didn't save as much money as I wanted to, or I didn't read as many books as I wanted to, but at least I did this much, and it feels good. Celebrate the success. What can I enjoy about what I did do and how far I got? So I would say on that first one, find the waypoint. Choose one place you want to go. It's very important that you do something that you want to do, not that you feel you should do. I was reading an article in the Wall Street Journal, and this was the big point they made, was if you do something that you really want to do, the chances of you doing that and actually sticking to it are very high. But if you do something that you ought to do, that you feel guilty that you're not, the chances of you following through on that are very low. So get the desire to do it. So I would say as you look forward into this year, what is something you really want to do? Then break it down, make it into small steps, keep it simple, overcome delays. Don't get discouraged when you don't follow through. Get back on track. Go back to your why. Make it fun. Celebrate success. What I've been thinking about a little bit is the little statement there on the bottom. The journey up the mountain is what prepares us to survive at the height we eventually reach. Wouldn't it be neat if we could just click a couple buttons and we get a little something to take us up to a certain point of where we want to be? We reprogram our brain, boom, it's done. Now I get up at a certain time, I do this, I do that. We would just be perfect little robots. Sometimes I've wished that I could skip all the hard work of what it takes to get somewhere. But what I think is true is that the process of getting somewhere helps us be prepared to where we eventually get to. So if you think of a mountain, where you're climbing that mountain, you need to be climbing that. You need to be getting adjusted to the air as you're going up. And I think that's the same way for us. We need that time, that preparation, so when we reach a certain place, we can actually sustain it there. Not that we're getting sick and having to go back down to where we used to be. Last statement here, looking forward, we are all on this journey called life. We get to decide where we will travel to, but not if we will travel. Time is taking us through life. It's like you're in a car, you're going somewhere. Time just keeps moving right along. And unless you decide where it is you want to go, you can end up in the desert of despair, in the back alley of danger, who knows where. Because time is taking you somewhere. We don't get to decide that. Our parents decided that for us. And here we are on this journey called life. So, I would just say it's important that we think about where we want to go, and that when 2020 draws to a close and a year from now we're sitting here and it's 2021, it's going to happen just like that. Seriously, I can't believe how quickly we got here, that we're going to be at a place that we love.